Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the morning show on the Widu Radio Network, WIDU 1600 AM and 99.7 FM. We're glad you're with us. Sit back and stay tuned and enjoy today's program. And here's your host for today.
Troy, man, it's going to be hot out there again today. Look, guys, the heat advisory, just be careful. Yesterday, I was driving past the marquee, and it was 102 on it. And I believe it was 102. I think I had gone in a restaurant with a friend, and I was coming out, and I said, well, we're leaving the kitchen now. We're going out into the oven. It was monster hot. It's going to be monster hot again on today. Anyway, glad to have you guys with us. We have Chairman of the Board of Commissioners, KIRK DEVIERE, with us. He's going to be with us about 30 minutes. Has another engagement, and that's where he is. And so, good morning, sir. How you doing?
Good morning. Happy belated birthday.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you, brother. 3-1. I mean, 3-10 plus 1. So
you look pretty sharp for that age.
Yeah, I appreciate you. Thank you, brother. Look, so Reverend
gives
Carl,
me hope.
Yeah, he turned 69 this year, and so I'll be glad when he turns 7 so I can beat him up. And I know you got a long ways to go. So
Before 70, yeah.
Just a long ways to go.
Not too far for 60 though.
But I tell you something, man. Once you turn 60,
it's all downhill.
Ask Reverend Carl, the time speeds up. You don't believe that the clock speeds up, but
it seems like it's sped up at 40.
But look, it gets blistering fast the closer you get on up to the top. But anyway, look, know you got to go. A couple of things going on with you guys. I got this update. One thing was talking about, what was that? It was a jail issue that you guys are considering. You know what I'm talking about?
So additional private security in the courthouse?
Not was that. It was tobacco use. It was connected with tobacco use. Was that you guys raising the age from 18?
No, so there was a resolution that was on our agenda for Tobacco 21, which is
right.
It was a resolution to support a bill that was in the legislature that outlined, it was called, I think, Sally's Law, House Bill 480 or 420. I can't remember the number right now.
Okay.
But it was in support of that, and it it outlined several different things. We didn't pass a resolution last night. Not that we're not supportive of awareness around, youth use of tobacco or underage use of tobacco or the effects of vape. But a lot of things, quite frankly, that were outlined as part of that bill that was filed, and you'll appreciate this because I know you used to be up there in the General Assembly, Troy, it was filed in March of 2025. So,
wow.
And it's been sitting in rules. And a counter bill filed on the Senate side and is sitting in rules. So do you think the bill didn't make crossover? So do you think that legislation is going anywhere?
No.
Probably not.
Right.
But the thing that I noticed when I read about it is that pieces of it, in the gentleman, Mr. Robertson, that briefed us on it yesterday, the thing that I noticed on it is some of the pieces or a couple of the components made it into the budget legislation on things like around vape and enforcing some underage restrictions and trying to the effects of vaping on our youth and things like that. So some of the components of it actually made it in the budget. So, for me, it wasn't a stance against tobacco or vaping. It was, boards speak in resolutions, and resolutions should have meaning, and it just wasn't. The legislation is not going anywhere, so you're kind of doing it. I said, and actually, none of our delegation actually signed on to the legislation, either in the House or the Senate. So I was kind of like, I think our energy would be better served if this gets reset up next year. Let's look at a resolution and be part of a bigger coalition. Let's get our delegation on here and actually let our resolution have teeth and not just a piece of paper that we send up that really doesn't have an impact.
Sure. But I do believe, though, that tobacco use is, some people consider marijuana to be the gateway drug. Yeah. But, I kind of studied this stuff for a while, and Angela was in a consultant for the mental health system for substance abuse stuff for 6 years. And not only that, tack on another 6 being a drug agent. I do believe that tobacco use is the gateway drug to youngsters using other stuff, but they generally start that around 10,
Yeah.
5th grade.
And so making, let's talk about programs that can invest in, younger, that's it,
Right.
Awareness of the dangers of smoking and vaping at an early age, it's not about prohibiting it at a certain age. It's more about the, I think there'd be consensus on our board from what I heard last night, around things like that. And I know there's programs out there that do that now. But I think it's important to raise the awareness, especially the education of that, like you said, the 10, the 12-year-olds, the 13-year-olds across our community that may be picking up some of those things that aren't healthy for them. And it is impactful. The statistics they showed us are impactful, and I don't think it was around not having, not wanting to help be part of raising the awareness and changing those statistics. But let's do something that's going to be impactful, not just a performative action.
Sure. One more comment, I'll let you, we can go talk about something else. But I do believe that the whole vaping thing is a lot more dangerous than people get credit for. Now, my caveat is this right here: I've never smoked, so I don't know. Now I'm not going to say that because I was going to say something. Somebody said, "I know he's crazy," but I'm saying is, look, tobacco don't get you high. That's what I never understood the whole issue with tobacco. And having been in the military, back when there was a lot of smoking, even when I was in high school, they had smoking patios, so we are a tobacco state, and so I got that piece. But the whole vaping thing.
Tobacco County. We grow tobacco right here in Cumberland County.
Oh yeah. I mean, you see those tobacco fields. Look, when I was a kid, I used to be out the end of bad boys, so I fully understand how that operates and works. But we don't need it to operate that way. And so, but anyway, I saw that, and I wanted to ask you about that. But anyway,
yeah, it was kind of interesting.
And what's on your calendar otherwise?
Yeah, so just want to point out one before I forget. I always like to, make sure people, we got fair coming up, Cumberland County. So the Cumberland County Fair opens up on the 4th of September. So I want to encourage people to come out there. Great 4th through the 13th, family fun activity out there at the Crown and in and around the Ag Expo and on the Crown Complex. So just want to encourage people. Great, and I had a great time. We went out there for opening day last time. He begged for that candied apple, and we rode some rides, and I think he may have gotten a funnel cake too. I think he took the apple home and he had a funnel cake. So you imagine how much sugar intake he had. But it's always a good time and just wholesome family fun, and the Crown and the team does such a great job of doing that as well. So that's good. Also, hats off to our Vice Chairwoman, Veronica Jones, put together, is working on there's a Women's Health Summit today that's taking place at DSS and the Health Department. Going to have several panelists, just an important conversation in our community that we really never had, in a meaningful way. So it should be a good, I think it runs from 1 to 4 today. Several different panelists talk about, maternal health and women's health and different components around that. So we've got some state legislators coming in. We've got panelists from across our community, doctors, experts, physicians, community folks as well. We got community doulas being involved. There's just a lot of people from across the community that are having this important conversation. And my hope is that, we continue to identify some of those gaps across our community. We know that our community is impacted higher than most across this state when it comes to maternal health. And so hopefully the outcomes from this, that we can actually have some action steps that will increase or improve the outcomes in our community. So just it should be a great event. Look forward to being a part of that. But just want to thank Vice Chairman Jones for spearheading that and coordinating that as well. So just a couple things going on. There's always stuff going on in our community, as you know, but those are a couple things coming up pretty quick.
Well, excellent. Certainly, women's maternal health is a very important topic, and You know, that's the cradle of everything for us. If you don't have women, then, you know, we cease to exist.
Well, it's also the services that are there and where there's the gaps in services for different parts of our community and different populations in, our community. And also you look at the ever-changing healthcare landscape as we see with, the gaps we're starting to see now potentially based on the changes in federal and state spending around or program spending around Medicaid and some of the other programs that we see from the federal government that support this, ecosystem around healthcare. So I'm really interested to hear some of the conversations where there's really going to be some good panelists and some good conversations today. But it's something, we're a Health and Human Service Board, and we should be, having those conversations, leading those conversations, but more importantly, finding the steps and investing in the areas just like we've done in our schools, just like we're doing with our infrastructure. We've got to continue to invest in our health and human services when it comes to mental health, when it comes to other items as well.
Sure. And schools will be back in first football games Friday night.
Yeah, Gray, don't say that. Gray's going to yell at you. He's not ready to go back to school yet now. Don't talk about school.
So, and the youngsters will be in school the following Monday. And, of course, we were talking yesterday, I believe. My game of the week is Terry Sanford at 71st.
Wow, I can't believe it's already football season.
Yeah, I know, but I think that's probably going to be a big game. I mean, there's a lot of other games going on, guys. I was just saying that, to me, those are two somewhat prominent teams.
Hopefully it's not going to be too hot, and they're it's
well, I mean,
it's going to be a little warm.
Yeah, it's true. I guess as long as they're hydrated, they're young, and they're not cramping up, they should be okay. And so next week this time we'll be entering those school zones, and folks, there's no buffer.
That's right.
There's no buffer for that. There's not a 5-mile buffer or anything. It's 25 is 25, 15 or whatever is there. Slow down, look for those youngsters. School buses, just know the rules. When now if it's a turn signal in the middle and it's 2 lanes on the left and 2 lanes on the right, then you're not forced to stop because the youngster's not going to be let off to go across all that. However, just know the rules because you want some points on your license, pass one of those school buses.
That's true.
And I pray God you don't hit a child.
But what a great time of year that our kids are the kids from across the community are pushing back in. I don't know if you've had Dr. Bracey on to kind of kick off.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. I do want to get Dr. Bracey in the chat, and also hopefully to try to get the chancellor in to talk about what's going on at the university.
Yeah, and bring FTCC in as well. They've got a lot of great opportunities. It's I look back over the last couple of years, and you kind of see the focus on investing in our education, retaining our goods, retaining our teachers, and the things where this board of commissioners have been focused. Working with the school board. The school board had to make some tough decisions this year on things they needed to do and how they needed to allocate their resources, and they had to make some recommendations on school closures based on a lot of different factors, and we were able to come behind them and make sure that we're funding the schools at a level that they should be funded, and that's going to take a little while to turn that ship and get those investments actually working for us in the community as we see the student population across this, and you've had these conversations before on air, just the student population across Cumberland County is changing. There's a lot of options. They can homeschool. We're seeing homeschool growing. You're seeing, private schools. You're seeing a lot more religious, church-based private schools are popping up. I mean, you could probably list a lot of churches that are, connected to WIDU in one way or the other. In the Pastors Coalition, their churches are probably standing up private schools, and some of that is because of what we saw at the state level with opportunity scholarships and opening some doors, and some of it is just because people want their children taught in a certain way and certain curriculum and those types of things, and so you got a lot of competition at the public school level, and I think it's important that they're able to compete, and our investment at the county helps them do that. I mean, especially when you look at quality school facilities, quality teachers, those types of things. But people have parents have a choice on where they put their children now, a lot more than they did, 10 or 15 years ago.
Well, so I believe, the filing window is closed for the
There's
at-large
a lot
members.
of people running.
Right, it's 16 people running, right?
It's 16 or 17. There's a lot of people
But
running.
I thought it was 16, maybe
Wow.
17, but there are 4 open
Three.
at-large seats. Three?
Three.
3 open at-large seats, and 17 people running, 17 people, something like that. But anyway, no.
Two open, 2 are vacant, or 2 will be vacant.
Right.
And then 1 has an incumbent.
Incumbency, right. But that's quite interesting, so.
It's a lot of people.
Well, that shows that there's a lot of interest in that. I guess
It used to not get interest, but then the county commissioners used to not get a lot of interest, and now there's all kind of people running for them.
Right, but I just what I kind of sort of see, and I'm hoping that we don't have people that are running to try and derail some of the things that are happening. But I think that's part of what some of the energy there is coming in that direction, and I'm just saying I hope that we can continue to be this, because there's still some disgruntled people about some school closures and some other things that they have a historical perspective, and they feel like that schools should be kept open for a variety of reasons, in my mind, that go beyond just the education of children.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that's important as, the community's having this conversation around who's going to be on that school board, we're putting almost $1 billion over there over the next several years of the community's tax dollars.
Right.
And somebody has to make sure, I know the staff, shepherds that and shepherds those projects, but the board guides and leads it from a policy and budget standpoint. And so you want to make sure you've got the right people that understand what that is. We haven't had that level of investment ever. And so making sure you have the right people on there that understand, that process and how to guide that process and be a voice in that process is extremely important.
That would be my area of concern, that what you just stated. Hopefully that will, we can get through all of that.
And I'll even say, they have another challenge coming up. And quite frankly, anytime you go through the process that they just went through, the one last piece of it is redistricting. And so while they moved some schools and changed some schools, they didn't redistrict. And that's probably something that, a school board's gonna have to have a conversation around in the near future as you look at where the student population is and leveling out. Okay, now we're making the investments in the schools. We, based on the criteria, we've got a different set of schools where we're doing the maintenance, where we're doing new construction, and now you've got the way you balance out those lines a little bit is with the redistricting, and that makes, that's yet another hard conversation in the community. And so when you look at these school board candidates, having that conversation around, working with the leadership team, with Dr. Bracey and his team to help guide that, almost $1 billion investment over the next several years, how we're going to realign our schools to ensure that we're covering the student population, and how we're going to be more competitive against the other opportunities that are out there for parents to choose. How do we stay competitive? What's our competitive advantage? Is it, there's the athletics is a big piece of it. How do you find those different points? And I think those will be interesting conversations that I hope our community has with our school board candidates. And having 16 is hard because you can't give everybody an opportunity to speak. You really got to break that up and be creative about how they give input. But 16 people is a lot of people, but it's definitely an area in this community we need to have a hard conversation around.
Yeah, well, I'm in agreement with you. The school subject and conversation is going to be real important for our community, and I'm just somewhat anxious to see what direction we're going to be going in when we move forward with those kinds of things. So.
And we've got, we're about 70 days out. So a little over 70 days out from the election, you've got state elections, you've got national elections, you've got local delegation here, House and Senate. We got county commissioner races too. So
I do believe,
we'll have a
though,
change on our board as well.
I believe the most important things for Cumberland County now is going to be the school board race and the board of commissioner race, because I see those kind of somewhat intertwined. What direction we're going to be going in? Are we going to continue what we're doing, or are we going to stop and do something else? Because there's a number of things that have happened under your leadership as chairman, that there's some people that are pushing back on that, admittedly, and I believe if the opportunity is given and somebody else is behind the decision making, I believe that they might try to lead us in a different direction. Personally, I don't think that's a good idea, but we live in a democracy, and
that's right.
people can do what they choose to do.
It's the will of the voters, but I think, our community clearly spoke and said, we need investments in our schools. We need to fix what's happening with our water and infrastructure if we're going to grow as a community. You've got to make the investments in mental health. You've got to make the investments in health and human services. You have to invest in public safety to have a safer community. And I'll challenge our record and the priorities that we put, tied right back to our strategic plan, up against, I'll have those discussions with anyone. Has there been difficult decisions over the last 2 years or last 18 months? Of course there has. That's when you're making change and you're trying to pivot and move a community, in a direction that's focused on the priorities of the citizens. It's always hard because some eggs are going to get broken, so to speak. But elected officials have to be willing to make those hard decisions and keep the best interest of the community at heart and move it in the direction that it needs to move. But you can never forget, as old Sergeant Major told me, you got to keep your boots muddy, so you can't ever forget the people that represent you, and you always got to be grounded in what impacts them the most and not just some pet project here or there.
Sure. And so, of course, the national scene and what bleeds out of Washington and Raleigh, both. But I think that, we know each other. We see each other at church and at the grocery store and at Friday night football games and at the fair.
Yeah.
It's different for people that, you represent Maine, you represent California, and y'all duke it out with each other, and then you get on the plane and go.
Yep.
You go home,
Yep.
and that's why I'm saying the politics here hopefully will have a different flavor, and people won't allow the national stuff to bleed into their decision making, because it's not about who lives at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue or who's up at Jones Street in Raleigh. Mm-hmm. It's about what we're doing here. Tip O'Neill said our politics is local, but lately we've been acting like our politics is somewhere else.
It's hard to keep that noise out of some of the decision process that boards have to do. The other thing I'm hopeful that we can do is continuing to kind of lower the temperature and have you can have conversations and disagreements with folks without being disrespectful.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm hopeful we can continue. We're not always going to agree on everything. Our board doesn't always agree on everything, but we walk away and we're still, we can still be respectful in our conversations and our dialogue. You don't have to paint somebody as somebody that they're not. But that's part of politics, Troy. And unfortunately, it's more and more in our society today. But I would encourage our candidates as they move through this election season. It's easy to kind of default to that and try to attack versus talk about your ideas and talk about your vision and the change you want to see or what you want to be part of. Maybe the school board's doing something right that you want to say, hey, this is good and I want to be a part of it, or the commission's doing something right and I want to be a part of it. I think that's important, and I still think at our state level we need to continue to challenge our legislators to do more for our community.
Sure. Well, look, I know you got to get out of here. Thank you so much for your time, and safe travels today, and stay cool, sir.
Yes, sir. You too.
All right, appreciate you. We'll be back. Going to have another guest on in the second half of the hour. Anyway, though, former Senator KIRK DEVIERE, Chairman of the Board of Commissioners. He's out of here. Have a great one.
My name is Ron Ross. I need your vote for County Commissioner. If elected, I will focus on what truly matters, you, the people. Budgets will be transparent and efficient. I will support policies that create good jobs while protecting our natural resources. I will keep the voters' message strong. We want results, not continued broken promises. Vote Ron Ross, County Commissioner, paid for by the committee to elect Ron Ross.
Angelic Florist Creations, 442 Hillsborough Street, Fayetteville, is family-owned and operated, proudly serving the Fayetteville area. Whatever the occasion, Angelic Florist Creations can create a floral arrangement or gift for any occasion or holiday. Angelic Florist Creations has prompt, friendly, and caring service. If you want to say you care, you can always say it with flowers from Angelic Florist Creations, 442 Hillsborough Street, Fayetteville. Call 910-485-2205.
With a rally atmosphere at the governor's mansion, Governor Josh Stein vetoed an elections bill that makes changes in this year's fall elections. A new poll shows former Governor Roy Cooper holding an 11-point lead over Republican candidate Michael Wadley in the race for an open U.S. Senate seat in North Carolina. The race was once expected to be among the nation's most expensive Senate contests for the 2026 cycle, but that's not true so far. North Korea's reactions to President Donald Trump's decisions to cut joint military exercises between the two nations is on the burner. The 60-day deadline for an agreement to end the Iran war and resolve the dispute over its nuclear program is expiring. Talks appear to be mostly indirect through mediators, and they have focused on reopening the Strait of Hormuz. Mike Rayleigh, NCN News.
I'm Jamie Monticelli, WIDU Radio News. The Fayetteville Police Department is investigating a fatal traffic crash that happened Sunday morning on Legion Road. At about 10 a.m., officers responded to a two-vehicle crash involving a motorcycle on Legion Road at Legion Park Avenue that resulted in a fatality. FAST is excited to offer the student semester pass for the upcoming school year. Students at FTCC, FSU, Methodist University, and Miller Mott College can ride unlimited all semester long using the Token Transit mobile app. It is $55 for fall and spring, $40 for summer. Unlimited rides within the FAST service area. You must present your student ID when boarding. The Fayetteville Fire Department says, did you know you may have as little as 2 minutes to escape a home fire? As kids go back to school, practice your family's routine. Use a floor plan template to map out your home, find 2 ways out of every room, and draw the locations for smoke alarms and a designated meeting spot outside. From WIDU Radio, I'm Jamie Monticelli.
Tuesday morning starting out feeling very warm and sticky once again with temperatures beginning in the 70s. Another heat advisory in effect from 11 a.m. until 8 p.m. today. We see high temperatures in the mid-90s to even upper 90s in some spots, and the heat index climbing above 104. Take it easy, stay hydrated, stay cool. Maybe an isolated downpour heading into the evening. Overnight, it's warm again in the 70s. I'm meteorologist Chris Michaels in the NCN Weather Center.
My name is Ron Ross. I need your vote for County Commissioner. If elected, I will focus on what truly matters, you, the people. Budgets will be transparent and efficient. I will support policies that create good jobs while protecting our natural resources. I will keep the voters' message strong. We want results, not continued broken promises. Vote Ron Ross, County Commissioner, paid for by the committee to elect Ron Ross.
Tuesday morning starting out feeling very warm and sticky once again with temperatures beginning in the 70s. Another heat advisory in effect from 11 a.m. until 8 p.m. today. We see high temperatures in the mid-90s to even upper 90s in some spots, and the heat index climbing above 104. Take it easy, stay hydrated, stay cool. Maybe an isolated downpour heading into the evening. Overnight, it's warm again in the 70s. I'm meteorologist Chris Michaels in the NCN Weather Center.
Pastor Earl and Denise Goings welcome you to join us for a gospel praise party featuring special guest recording artist and award winner Ty Tribbett in concert Friday, September 25th, 7:30 p.m. This powerful praise party will take place at the Faith Tabernacle Christian Center in St. Paul's, NC. Doors will open starting at 6:30 p.m. For more information, call the church at 910-865-5252 or check us out on the web at ftccenter.org. Don't miss this powerful gospel praise party featuring Ty Tribbett in a free concert Friday, September 25th, 7:30 p.m. Come witness something truly special. Come join Pastor Earl and Denise Goings at Faith Tabernacle Christian Center for a gospel praise party with Ty Tribbett Friday, September 25th, 7:30 p.m. Call 910-865-5252. Church groups are welcome. Come and be blessed.
I'm Charles Evans, candidate for Cumberland County Commissioner at Large. As your public servant, it will be my responsibility to work for the betterment of our community for each citizen of this great county. As your past county commissioner at large, I have done just that and will continue to put each of our citizens first. I'm Charles Evans, asking for your support as your Cumberland County Commissioner at Large. Together, let's build a county we love calling home.
Paid for by the committee to elect Charles Evans.
And good morning to you. We're going to be back. We're going to have Mayor Colvin is going to be on with us in a minute. I did want to take a couple of minutes and chat with you, though, before the mayor gets behind the mic. Look, the station owner, Wes Cookman, had a vision to have something that we have here at the station called Candidate Conversations, Councilman Conversations. So that means that we invite members of the city council to come in and to share with you ideas and things feel like that you need to know that will uplift this community. What it's not about is for them to come in and beat up on each other. That's not what we're about. This is a Christian radio station. Now look, if I need to preach to you from the scriptures to tell you how we are supposed to settle our differences, then I'll do that. So if the colleagues with the mayor, if they have issues on council between each other, Bible says that they're supposed to settle that before the sun go down. And beyond that, if that don't work, they're supposed to go get a witness and come back and try to solve it. And if that doesn't work, take them for the church. They say with the church, well, all the folk around here claim that they know the Lord. They even say that God spoke to them to run for office. Now, if God told you to run for office and you lost, then I'm asking you to come back and tell us what happened. Because if God told you to do something, I would think that you would be successful at it. That's not a knock on you, but I'm just saying is that let's bring fairness and decorum to our discussions. And the differences that you have at City Hall with your colleagues or with the mayor, we don't need to bring that here to try to degrade each other. And we're not about that. This is not The View that you see on TV, and certainly not the Wendy Williams show. That's not what we're about, okay? So now, I'm suggesting this because I think that when people come on, and some of the things that I've seen are disrespectful to the process of what we want to do here at WIDU. We're professionals. And for all the folk that are high-fiving folk and, yeah, get them, blah, 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 it's not about that. So we can have our differences professionally concerning something and not personally attack each other. So that doesn't mean that I'm going to agree with the mayor or all the council members with their legislative decisions, but it's not personal. So, you know, as we move forth, hopefully we will gather that, and I'm talking to you all as an audience, that's what we're about. And we're not about people coming in here attacking each other, particularly people that serve on the same legislative body, okay? Well, look, we're moving forward now. I've got the mayor in. Good morning, sir. The mayor normally is in on Thursdays, but he's going to be out of town. And so we have an abbreviated meeting with Commissioner KIRK DEVIERE, and I asked him just this morning that he could run by and we can chat about a few things before he hit the road. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, man. You preaching this morning, huh?
Well, sometimes, brother, it's necessary,
It's time to pass the offering plate.
Yeah. I got the right reverend.
Yes, sir. Been my pastor for a long, long time. So, I see some of this is rubbing off on him. So
yeah. So we had this conversation before I started this morning, and he's the interim general manager. We're in agreement with this. That's the personality and the style that we want this station to move forth with. Hey, look, we're about uplifting the whole community. Don't mean that we can't have differences, but it's like KIRK DEVIERE just stated, we ought to be able to have differences on our legislative bodies and leave and not walk out the room like we're trying to kill each other.
I mean, former council member, the late great Bill Chris was always he was the balance in there when I came on as a young council person, and we may have a heated debate about something, but he always said never question one another's votes and leave it at the table when you leave, and that was good advice, because as you said in your statement, I think what's happened, Troy, unfortunately, and it's not new to our community, but it's historical, right? That you should be able to debate any policy. I'll sit down with anybody and we can go back and forth about our positions. You and I have done it. Sometimes we passionate about it. You dig your heels in and you believe what you're saying is right, and so does the other person. But at the end of it, it should be about the policy, not the person. I think what's happened is, and we see this in other levels of politics, and this is the ugly part, but there can't be, in order to make your argument more sound, you try to discredit the other person. Yeah. And in order to discredit the other person, then you start talking about character and you start implying that they're somehow corrupt and they've got all this stuff that has nothing behind it or anything to do with what you're debating about. But because they don't agree with you, somehow there's something mysterious about it. I didn't listen to the show yesterday. I heard snippets of it, and I've had people that call and say one thing or another, and I think that that to me, it's like this. My day has to be goal-oriented, and everything else that comes in between that is noise. And so, but there are things that you have to correct when people say that, right? And I know that we'll get into how much of that you want to talk to today, but I made myself a promise I wasn't going to allow people to say things about me that wasn't true and not challenge it, even though you can't chase behind everything, because things that don't really impact your destiny are not worth the fight. But some stuff that's talked about where you imply about transparency, you imply about some kind of nefarious activity or some kind of gain, I could say, with a clean slate and a clean heart, I don't benefit anything financially from the city other than the paycheck that they give me. And everybody knows, can go online and see what that is. But it's somehow, if you believe in something or you don't believe in something, that there's something behind it. The other thing that I think needs to be cleared up, that came up in the discussion yesterday, are the vote counts. It's up to you as a legislator. You worked in the legislature. I mean, it's up to you to lobby and to get the support for the things you want to do. And sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. But you can't call it a gang or a cahoots or somehow there's something nefarious because you wasn't on the other end of the votes. And so, I think that's a part of team building. It speaks to your ability to get people to believe in the things that you want. And so, we can talk a little bit about that and then the specifics of it. I know you had an interesting show last week, so I'll throw the mic back to you and see which way you want to go.
I'll just say so people can understand what you're talking about. Yep. So now in Raleigh, when they're caucusing, it's two caucuses. You got the Democratic caucus and you got the Republican caucus.
Right.
And they have positions inside of that. You got a majority leader.
Right.
But then beneath that person is somebody called the whip. Mm-hmm. Now let me tell the people that don't know what the whip does. The whip is a person that is responsible for getting the people lined up to all coalesce and vote one way on something.
Correct.
That's what but you have a minority whip and you have a majority whip. But that is when, that is partisan politics. The city council is not a partisan body, supposed to be. You see what I'm saying? I mean, of course, you got people, unaffiliated, Democrat and Republicans that serve on it, but you guys are one body. Now, if you want to get you a whip, so to speak, to help align yourself with something, there's nothing illegal about that or nothing wrong with that. Right. I mean, most people, going back to other mayors, one jumps to mind clearly is Mayor Tony Schiavone. Okay, yeah. He wanted things to go a certain way, so obviously this is what they did. They went out and they looked for people to get elected that would align themselves with their agenda. And then they also tried to get people to vote for the things that they thought. That there's nothing illegal, immoral, or wrong with that. That's just the way things are. Right. And if you don't understand that, then you're just not living in the real world. That's just the way things are.
Right. And here's that's exactly right. And here's what I mean when I said historically, right? Historically, and this goes all the way back to Reconstruction. That'll be a whole nother hour show. But the goal is to me, it seems like there is an unfairness placed upon black elected officials, that they are somehow looked at, discredited, looked at as dishonest, and it's meant to tear down their credibility in an attempt to do that and to take away their effectiveness. Reconstruction, you had a whole lot of black people, once the change came in, that went into Congress, and you see the things that were said about them. And to be honest with you, I said this in a conference at the AME Zion Church Saturday, that there's two differences. There's people who show up at ours, they curse us out, they stick their middle finger up, they tell us they're going to spit in your food, they do those things, but they don't do that at the county commission. Both of us are working on ordinances, but they come to our meetings and do it. Is it because it's a 80-90% black leadership over here and not so much on the other side? So I think that we've got to stop that. What was disappointing yesterday is to see a black former elected official in Waddell talking to Councilwoman Green and talking about disparaging comments or discrediting things about other African Americans on a black station. That's not cool. That if you have some differences, that you are tearing down your own kind. And it's not about race necessarily, because we're all sisters and brothers in Christ, but you don't do that to go out of your way to disparage that. And I've never heard her do that to a white leadership in any way. So beyond all of that, I think this is the important part. It is our job to give people fact-based information, whether you support data centers or you don't, right?
Right.
Our races, our decisions are not partisan, but they're more based on beliefs, things that you think are for the good of your community, for the bad. Do you need more or less police? Do you need ShotSpotter or you don't need it? Do you need data centers or you don't need it? Our job is to bring the data back to make sure it's factual. I was able, and I commend the NAACP and the AME Zion Church for having a platform the other day. They did allow me to speak. It had some of the people who were opposed to data centers or giving a legislative update, and it wasn't from people who are actually in the room making the law. So there was some misinformation that I don't know if it was intentional or not, but I was able to come behind it and correct it. There are no NDAs signed by city council members. That's a falsehood that's perpetuated often. There are no city council members, at least I haven't signed an NDA. I don't represent anybody or know anybody selling land that's going to profit from wherever these things go. And so those are the kind of things that cloud the water, that keep you from hearing the facts. The facts are, we go to the site, we tell you good, bad, and ugly what we see. Do we think that this could fit into our community? We go and tell you the concerns, or we capture the concerns that you have about who's paying the electric bill and who's paying for the water usage. We go and tell you that certain locations will or will not work, that, it's perpetuated that, this is going to be harmful to the black community. Everybody uses our civil rights model to move agendas now. You know, that there has been no discussion of the city council to put a data center in a black community, even though that's said at every single meeting, and it tells us that you're doing this intentionally to harm African Americans. That is something, and oftentimes it's said, you know, I had a white person stand up there the other day at the meeting and tell me that we're doing harm and damage to the black community with nothing to go, no basis of that. And so the city council hadn't done that. They don't have their minds made up or preconceived notions that we're already going to do something. We're trying to do our research, and the county is doing the exact same thing. And the problem is that both of us at the end of this process will have an ordinance with as much protection as we can possibly put in there. And so we want to make sure that people get the facts about these kind of things, that they're not hyperbole that's put in there, and that you can make a decision. It's not my goal to sell you on a data center. My goal is to give you the information, and then as a community, you tell me what you think benefits us or not.
Well, you know, not only that, Mr. Mayor, it's just that a small group of people, and they say, well, no, we represent. Well, no, nobody voted for you, though. And so I didn't vote for you to represent me, and a bunch of other folk didn't vote for you to represent us. And so if it's that kind of thing, then put it on a ballot and let everybody vote for it, but don't go down and because you can fill up City Hall and suggest that you represent everybody, because you don't.
Right.
And that's my piece out of that, you know. So I'm just saying is that I don't think that we need to do that. But not only that, though, like I was saying, you know, you're going to talk about those kinds of things, or even, and I'm going national, but I think it kind of flows with here too, you know, even mobsters don't bother people's wives.
Right.
For real, they don't.
Yeah.
La Costa Nostra.
Right. They got rules.
You know, they actually have rules they go by not to attack people's wives. Yeah, just like I was telling them when the guy was attacking the president's wife every night. They're like, oh, well, it's freedom of speech. No, you don't do that. Right. Okay, I know you don't like him.
Yeah.
But she's not a legislator. She ain't doing anything.
Right.
You don't attack people's spouses and stuff like that, and their family members. What for? And like I said, even mobsters out of the big city, the mafia, they don't do that to each other.
Yeah.
So why would we do that? That's the point. And the thing that bothers me, or you make a threat that you're going to you go to a restaurant and your food may not be safe.
Yeah.
You know, because look, when I was an undercover cop, I had a friend. And he was always scared to go out with me. He said, man, I can't. He said, if we walked in and said, hey, man, he said, man, they know you. We can't eat here, man. No, we can't eat here. No, I'm not eating here.
Right.
Not with you.
Right.
Because I'm scared that you know, they're going to do something to my food, man. I mean, and look, here you guys are.
Yeah.
Y'all kind of walking the same. Yeah. The same street, man. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Well, when you don't have merit-based arguments anymore, then you start that intimidation, and I'm the wrong one with that. I'm stubborn. My daddy told me I had a hard head. Your head is so hard, but you know that firms you up. But you know, to your point, last year when we talk about this, and I think this is important to hit. I heard your show last week about transparency.
Right.
They talk about it. They come to the meetings and say, follow the money. And so you got to follow that wherever it goes,
that's
right?
True.
It's not just a one-sided trail. It's wherever it leads,
that's
right?
True.
So if it leads to an elected side, or if it leads to a non-elected side, you just follow it, and the results are what they are. And listening to your show, I think that is certainly a conversation that we've got to have if those things are true about council member. You didn't call a name, but we've got a council member that allegedly is a part of a group, I think you called it Blueprint NC, that funds a number of organizations that happen to show up and have a position already on this.
Correct.
Last year, or earlier this year, after the new council came in, I discovered that I used to be on some state boards, and anytime you're on a state board, you have to do a ethics disclosure. You have to put every corporation, entity you're associated with, and everybody in your household is associated with, you got to tell the state ethics board that. The city council has a similar form, but it missed a lot of information, and so it came out that that there was a discrepancy between what was on a council member's state version and what was on the city's version. And wasn't required, but I cleaned it up. I brought it to council and said, look, we're going to talk about transparency. We got people in here that running on transparency. So any entity that you're a part of, right, you should be able to disclose it on the cities just like you do on the states. Right. Okay. And it was found out that we had a council member that had an LLC that was receiving, $30,000 a month from the city. Okay. That should be disclosed. Right. And for 4 years, that's almost $1 million. Right. Okay. So then said another council member who we're talking about said, we included nonprofit affiliations. So if you're advocating for the city to give a nonprofit board that you're a board member on, then you need to tell that. And so maybe you don't take part in that vote. And so there was an agreement across the board that we do that. That form is in place. Those rules are in place. And so now we're going to give these council members an opportunity to talk about those things, that who made $1 million while seated, and who's on a part of a nonprofit if there are any affiliations with major issues. Let's be transparent all the way around.
And that's fair to the citizens. I mean, that's why y'all have it there is not only for your colleagues to know potentially why people are voting a certain way. It doesn't necessarily mean anything is nefarious, but if you're being paid by a group,
or you pay groups,
right? It's likely that you have common thoughts or common goals or objectives, and the public needs to know that, and that's why they do it. And that's why when you turn on TV, the congressman and the president and everybody else, you see that's what they're running down every day. And so the same stream should be available for our local leaders as well. I mean, just tell us what you do. Somebody asks you, and you elected office, what do you do for a living, who do you work for? You shouldn't be trying to hide that. You ought to be very clear, this is what I do.
Right. Yeah. And you're an inquisitive, investigative person, so I'm sure that you're like a dog with a bone. So it's just
but look, not only that, but that's our job as journalists. We're going to find out. For sure. And now we're not picking on anybody. Right. But hey, look, disclose those kinds of things, so that
so the people at least know where you're coming from.
Right. The public knows. You see what I'm saying? So the public knows. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And why do you support one thing or another? Or why are you so passionate about it? That it could be fact based, because we're all supposed to make unbiased fact based opinions about stuff, and our personal opinions sometimes, because we represent so many people. I represent 200,000 people, so that's Republicans, Democrats, black, white. All other races, Hispanics, you've got to take everybody's perspective. You can't capture everybody's opinion on everything, but you try to get the information you have to make the best decision. But I look forward to us continuing to have meaningful dialogue. We're looking for the transparency that Councilmember Green and McMillan and those are calling for. With that, we've got to practice what we preach. And so I look forward to, as we talk about this, let's educate the community with facts. Let's talk about things that actually are the case. And then we lay the decision at the feet of the people to decide what they want to do. And we've got to stop the personal attacks and stop tearing down one another. Particularly, it's sad when we're in a situation where we see black people tearing down other black people. I call it cooning for other people, and that's very unfortunate. But let's stick to the facts, and I appreciate you kind of highlighting that today, because this is a
it's going to be a continuing conversation. And I got a preacher friend down the street, the Honorable Abe Elliott Jr., my big brother in the Lord, and I got a big brother preacher just walked in the door.
Yes, sir.
And that is Superintendent Dr. Thomas Leake.
Yes, sir.
And look, I left home this morning, honest to God, praying, God, let me say what is right, because we want to do what is right. Right. And so I know he's praying for me. He might come over here and lay hands on me now. I don't know.
You need a little bit of oil.
I need some oil. But look, what we need to do, guys, we got to be fair with each other. Yeah. And we can't be attacking each other. And that's just not what this radio station is about. We're not about that. So we'll move forward in prayer. Yeah. And for everybody out there, be praying for us. because we want to do what's right. So now, that don't mean I'm trying to convince you to be for data centers or against data centers. Right. That's your personal choice. But I know this, we must move forward with the spirit that God has given us of unity in Christ.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Now, pass the plate.
Okay. See you guys later. Take care. Bye-bye.
Your station for inspiration and information. 1600 AM, 99.7 FM, WIDU1600.com. We are WIDU Fayetteville. We do radio. Follow us on Facebook at WIDU1600 AM.
NCN News, I'm Mike Rayleigh. Moore County Commissioners faced a packed meeting on Monday night over public concerns dealing with the use of automatic license plate readers. The meeting ended abruptly as tensions rose between people concerned about privacy and law enforcement officials defending the camera as a tool for solving crimes.